Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Nations get the government they deserve. I think this is a maxim that is proven true throughout history, human history. Yes, of course, you may get the wrong kind of government, but in the long run, you get the government you deserve. In the case of Zimbabwe, we have to ask ourselves, what have we done to deserve this government? Today, we'd like to continue on that theme, but focus more on the opposition. More so because, as we said yesterday, the opposition, if we are expecting any change, we cannot expect ZANU-PF to reform itself out of office. And the nation was right in making the decision in the late 1990s that we needed to elect an opposition whose primary purpose would be to implement the democratic reforms necessary to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. The alternative was for the nation to wage another war as we waged the war to end white colonial rule. I believe the decision to elect opposition leaders who would implement the reforms with the right decision. It's just that 25 years since then, including the 5 years in the GNU, the opposition have failed to deliver even one token reform, and hence the reason why ZANU-PF is still able to blatantly rig the elections and get away with it. So we'll focus on the opposition as the root of change. I would like to start playing a video appropriate for this time of the year, the New Year's, jumping from 2025 to 2026. And this is how some Zimbabweans see this development. Well. How about that one? Ben, welcome to the program.
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. One of the fundamental requirements of democracy is people holding those in public offices or those that wish to occupy public offices to account. Now, if we cannot do any of the fundamentals that are required for democracy, we're kind of playing dolly house. We are not ready for change and we're not doing anything to change. So we got to look at it that way. I mean, this video to me, if this is what convinces us we got to say we got a very long way to go.
Well, what I found disappointing about this video is that at the present moment, many people, particularly in the rural areas, have been experiencing the difficulties brought about by the rains. In some cases, the whole bridge have been washed away. In other areas, they don't have a bridge, and they've had to rely on makeshift river crossings. And as we saw in that video, Chamisa was crossing a stream. It was the water, the stream is not flooded, or the river is not flooded as we can see. But nonetheless, even he had to negotiate it very carefully. He called it an adventure. This is what I found so disappointing about it. There are many people, children, school children, who have got to walk sometimes up to 5 kilometers or more to school every day in the rural areas. And many of them will be barefooted and will be crossing streams and rivers like that. And they do it all year round. I don't think they see it as an adventure. There are women who will be carrying babies on their back and a load on their head, who too have got to cross streams and rivers like that. They do not call it an adventure. The very fact that we are still in a situation where the country, even the roads that we inherited at independence, are in a deplorable state because of bad governance. 45 years of bad governance is something that we should be ashamed of. And yet somebody wants to make us believe that it is an adventure. I find the kind of leadership that thinks that way disappointing, to say the least. And so it brings us back to the issue we are raising here. Nations get the government they deserve. What have we done to deserve this corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless opposition, who in 25 years, including 5 years in the GNU, have failed to implement even one token reform, and hence the reason why ZANU-PF is able to blatantly rig the elections and get away with it.
You got to look at it this way. And I like the question, what have we done? Our bar is set so low. Our expectation bar is so low that anybody can come and take over. I mean, we have seen the likes of Comrade Gaze across that bar. We have seen the likes of Nyokaima Bunu cross that bar. Whoever has come has crossed that bar. Even ZANU-PF right now is crossing that bar just by building one, trababalas. They've crossed the bar. Idiuchi. Chamisa, he promises you America is coming to, to help us. I spoke to Donald Trump. He crossed that bar. Our expectations and our demand for accountability is so low. I mean, look, we had leaders, powerful leaders, that have been sacked and have lost their position because of simply breaking COVID rules. When everybody was inside the house, locked up in the house, they decided not to do it, and they got the stick. We have leaders that lost position because of emails. Emails that were compromising, and they were out of the race completely. Then you have a leader that stands up and tells you lies each and every single time. I spoke to Donald Trump. He's going to give us billions of dollars. A lie. I have closed all rigging, avenues and I've patched up. ZANU-PF will not do it. In fact, God has blessed me already. I'm already looking forward to the cabinet. Where's that cabinet? Did God fail? That was another lie. And then we make 2026 song to say, this is the guy that we've been waiting for. You get where I'm going? We only get leaders we deserve, and the leaders will know our characters and will know what we demand from them. If we demand very little, they will give little in return. This is where our mess is all about. There's never been accountability in any politician in Zimbabwe. None. We have had those even in government, the ministers, they have stolen blind and nobody has asked any questions. And you find they've always been reshuffled because that bar is so low. The same in the opposition. When the opposition fight amongst themselves, they are quick to form a new party. And people will gladly follow the other and so forth. Then the question that you have asked, which is very good, what have we done to get this kind of a government? We've done everything. We've done everything wrong, and we deserve where we are. That is the truth. We shouldn't kid each other and play dolly house, because we will never grow. We will never get out of this mess. Zimbabweans have been the source of the problem. Zimbabweans have been perpetuating their own suffering by having very low expectations of leaders and letting away our leaders get away with murder.
Well, I'd like to play a video clip of Morgan Tsvangirai during his 8 days.
You have to define your future. As a generation, you can't define the future other than yourself. And the Kajiki Dokas are Fana, don't Sagapetasi. And what? You won't cheat. I don't want to. Mutangi, we bring our. I think I'm going to go out to what was you?
What I find amusing about this video is that some of the so-called Chamisa Chete Brigade are still hailing it as one of Morgan Tsvangirai's moments of inspiration. Of course, it is disappointing. He, in this video, is asking what the youth are doing to redefine the future. And yet he was the one who was elected in the position of power and authority to implement the democratic changes that would have redefined Zimbabwe's course, destiny. He failed to implement even one token reform. In the 18 years he was the leader of the MDC, including the 5 years in the GNU. And these followers have yet, even now, failed to understand that he let them down. He is the one who failed to implement the reforms. He had 5 years. The primary purpose of the GNU of 2008 to 2013 was to implement the democratic changes necessary to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections and restoring the fundamental freedoms and rights of the individuals. He failed to implement even one. Mugabe bribed Morgan Tsvangirai and his MDC friends with the trappings of high office, and they forgot about the reforms. Even now, with the benefit of hindsight, there are still many individuals out there who still think Morgan Tsvangirai was an icon of democracy. And yet when you ask them, name one reform that Morgan Tsvangirai implemented, they cannot. Because he failed to implement even one reform. I come back to the topic. Nations get the government they deserve. We cannot deny that we are stuck with this ZANU-PF dictatorship because we have a corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless opposition. We have entrusted the opposition to implement the reforms necessary to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship, and they failed to do so. And we, on our part, have failed to read the writing on the wall. After 25 years on the political stage, they failed to implement even one token reform. And we still can't see it. As was shown in the video we played earlier on of Chamisa, there are still some people out there who will follow Chamisa blindly. And there is a real danger that he is going to con them to participate in flawed 2028 elections in their numbers, only to give ZANU-PF legitimacy and perpetuate the dictatorship. If that is not proof that we are getting the government we deserve, I don't know what is. Ben, do you want to give your closing remarks?
Ladies and gentlemen, refusing to accept a fact or a truth will never change the fact. It happened, we all witnessed it, and it will be a piece of history. And I've always talked about the similarities in ZANU PF and opposition, where you find ZANU PF has sent the Warakashi to go in and cause a havoc amongst the people. The Chamisa Chete brigade is doing the very same thing. You say a truth, they will squash not the truth, but you. They will not give any evidence, any facts to back up whatever they're saying, but will insult you more. And both groups do the same thing. But the fact remains, it happened. We are in a habit of creating demigods out of our leaders. In fact, I think we have taken it upon ourselves to say you cannot talk evil or talk, the truth about my leader except going through me. So we will defend our leaders no matter how flawed and how foolish their idea and their concepts are. Video evidence is there of Chamisa lying. There's so many. Video evidence is there of government officials and government itself, the head of government, being documented in corrupt activities. The evidence is there. But the people of Zimbabwe, whichever political divide you choose, will stand and defend their leaders no matter what. They don't care about the answers. Theirs is to defend. Chamisa can never do wrong. Even if he did, it is still right. ED can never do wrong. Whatever he did was right for the country. When you can see, the evidence is so clear. We got a problem. And if we want our country to get better, to deserve better, we need to demand accountability. We need to question. Not only will your leader get better, because now they know that they are being pushed to get better. Sometimes pushing makes you get better. But if I agree, you will never know. Pushing is like a mirror. When you finish bathing and you're prepared, you go to the mirror, you see your reflection once more. And then when you see there's a blemish on your face, it is now up to you to wipe it away. But if you walk away with it, that blemish will be on you until you do something about it. So this is Zimbabwe. We are in front of the mirror. There is blemishes on our faces, on our leaders. Are we going to fix it, or we are going to walk away? Choice is always ours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. I'd like to invite people to join us again, same time during the week, 6 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwe time, for the same discussion. And on a Sunday and Saturday, we invite you to join us, and the link is being shown at the bottom of your screen there. We use the same link every week. So if you're free to join us, please do. I'd like to give my closing remarks to some of the people who have taken to heart the sign that we've got on the screen there. I love my country. I'm ashamed of my government. In the context of the theme we have been discussing today, this is just meaningless. Because what we have said here is we, the people of Zimbabwe, have had the opportunity to end this ZANU-PF dictatorship, and we have wasted it. And therefore, then to keep saying, I'm ashamed of my government, does not cut it. You have played your part in helping ZANU-PF stay in power by electing an opposition, entrusting them the task of implementing the democratic reforms. And when they failed to implement even one, 25 years later, including 5 years in the GNU, you have done nothing about it. You are one of the millions of people who have participated in flawed elections, even after you've been warned that the process is flawed and they're not going to change anything by participating. You've participated regardless because you chose to believe a blatant, idiotic lie that I've plugged for tricking loopholes. Hashtag God is in it. Which even now you know is a lie, but you will not admit it. I am ashamed of my government? No. You are the government. You should be ashamed of yourself. Nations get the government they deserve. We in Zimbabwe have the government we deserve. Think about it. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you'll be able to do it again in future. Good night.